NASCAR has this pattern with outsiders, and if you know what to look for, you can see it playing out right now with Shane van Gisbergen. The series lets you in, gives you the cameras, the storyline, the warm reception, and then once you stop being new and start being fast, the whole thing quietly shifts beneath your feet. The veterans stop giving you space, the questions get harder, and the system that welcomed you in starts testing whether you can survive inside it. SVG is crossing that line as we speak, and what happens on the other side of it is bigger than anything he's done in NASCAR so far. Bigger than Chicago, bigger than the Xfinity wins. Because getting in was never the hard part. The hard part starts when the people who run the place realize you're not going home. For 2 years, the story was simple. Supercars champion tries NASCAR, wins on debut, dominates road courses, shows enough on ovals to keep people talking. American media couldn't get enough of it. Great character, great crossover, easy content, and here at home, it just felt right. One of ours, making them pay attention. That story's done now, and the one replacing it is far more interesting and far more dangerous. SVG's not turning heads because he's the novelty anymore. He's turning heads because his oval pace has gone from promising to genuinely inconvenient for the guys around him. The restarts are aggressive in a way they weren't a year ago. His reads in traffic are sharper, and the long-run management, the thing that actually separates real Cup contenders from everyone else, looks like it belongs to someone who's been doing this for a decade, not a couple of seasons. Now, here's where it gets complicated, because all of that progress triggers something most people don't think about. When you're the new guy running 12th, nobody in that garage loses sleep over you, but when you're the outsider running 6th and climbing, suddenly you're not a story. You're a problem. You're costing someone a top 5 they had covered, points they were banking on, sponsor conversations that now include your name instead of theirs, and the blokes losing out have been fighting for those positions since they were in go-karts. They don't care about your Bathurst trophy cabinet. They care about what you just took from them on Sunday. That pressure, the political, structural, behind closed doors kind, is something SVG has never faced in NASCAR before, and it's building right now. This is exactly where Marcos Ambrose's story stalled, and it's worth sitting with that for a second because Australian fans know this one in their bones. Ambrose was fast, won races, earned genuine respect, but somewhere along the way, he hit something that wasn't about speed. Equipment decisions went a certain direction, team politics shifted, the series' center of gravity pulled back toward its own people, the way it always does. Ambrose had the talent for a bigger career in NASCAR. Whether the system around him was ever going to allow that is the question nobody properly answered. SVG's circumstances are different. Different team, different era, different landscape, but the pattern underneath hasn't changed. NASCAR's ecosystem naturally funnels its best resources toward the people who grew up inside it. Not through malice, just through gravity, and the further an outsider pushes toward the front, the heavier the gravity pulls. So everything comes down to one thing: can SVG build enough momentum to break through before the resistance around him hardens? And this is where the evidence gets genuinely hard to ignore, because his improvement curve isn't just trending upward, it's steepening. The gaps to leaders on ovals are compressing almost week to week. The small errors that used to appear every few races have nearly vanished. His feel for the draft, for managing tires over a long run, for the specific rhythm of a 500-mile Cup race, all of it is tracking ahead of where it should be at this point in his career. Ahead of where Ambrose was at the same stage, ahead of where Montoya was by a meaningful margin. But speed alone has never been enough to crack this series open, not for an outsider. And there's a timing element that makes the next 18 months especially critical. A career that starts in the Cup Series as late as SVG's did has a specific window, a stretch where your rate of improvement overlaps with genuine competitive opportunity. The car beneath you is strong. The series is open enough to let someone push through. Your own learning curve is still climbing steeply. That window is open right now, but it won't stay open forever. Teams restructure, Regs shift, younger drivers rise. If SVG doesn't convert this phase into something concrete, the chance narrows, and it narrows fast. Nothing about this is certain. A reliability issue at the wrong track, a crew chief move that disrupts chemistry, a run of cold results right when the team's making its future plans. NASCAR doesn't wait while you reset. It fills the space and moves on like you were never there. But right now, and this is the part I keep coming back to, he's beating the timeline and he's further along than anyone had a right to expect, and he's showing no signs of plateauing. For Australian fans, there's a layer to this that sits deeper than the racing. We've watched this exact shape play out in other sports. One of ours goes overseas, earns real credibility, hits the point where the system tightens up and decides how much room it's actually willing to make, and they either push through that wall or they come home with a hell of a story and a what if that never fully goes away. SVG is standing right at that wall, and the next 18 months will decide which version of this we end up telling. If he breaks through and if he becomes someone the Cup Series has to account for every single week, it changes what's possible for Australian drivers in American racing. Permanently, Ambrose proved the door existed. SVG has a genuine shot at walking through it and staying on the other side. If the system holds. Strong results here and there, but never quite a sustained threat. It's still a remarkable career, but it sits differently, and every Australian who watched him dominate supercars will carry that quiet distance between what he was and what he might have become over there. What holds my attention is that Shane doesn't seem built for almost. He didn't move to America to be competitive, and he moved there to win, and the way he's racing right now. The patience on long runs, the controlled aggression through restarts, the clean, cold decisions in the final 20 laps. Everything about it says he thinks the gap is closing. Fast. Whether NASCAR's structure bends enough to let him close it is the only question that matters now. Not whether he's quick enough, not whether he belongs. Those chapters are written. The question is whether the series, the teams, the equipment pipelines, the talent depth, and the politics of a system that has always looked after its own will let an outsider arrive at the very front and stay there. This is one of the most compelling stories in global motorsport right now, and most people haven't fully realized what's actually on the line. If you've been tracking SVG's NASCAR career and you want to follow this next phase properly, the detail, not just the headlines, subscribe. We'll be across every part of it, and I want your take on this. Drop it in the comments. Does he break through, or does the system hold? The people watching this video understand the sport well enough to have a real opinion on that. That conversation matters. Whatever comes next, we're watching something you don't see very often, an Australian driver talented enough to push right up against the limit of what that system has ever given an outsider. That's either a great story or the start of something historic. And right now, genuinely, it could go either way. You don't want to look away from this.